You're slowly killing your gut every morning. And the worst part? You think you're doing everything right. That cup of coffee you grab the second you wake up. Working against you, that glass of orange juice, almost as bad as soda, that bowl of cereal. You might as well be eating candy for breakfast. And none of this is your fault. Nobody told you what's actually happening inside your body in that first hour of the morning. So let me show you. It's 6:47 a.m. The alarm goes off. You silence it. And before you've made a single conscious decision, your body is already 3 steps ahead of you. Your heart rate is climbing. Your core temperature is rising. And deep in your abdomen, your stomach has been sitting in a pool of acid since last night. Waiting for you to decide what you're going to pour into it first. Most people grab coffee. And that one decision, made half asleep, on autopilot, 365 mornings a year, is quietly doing more damage than almost anything else in their diet. Here's what nobody tells you. In the 30 to 45 minutes after you wake up, your cortisol levels spike between 38 and 75%. Researchers have studied this for decades. It's called the cortisol awakening response, and it happens every single morning without exception. Whether you slept 8 hours or 4, whether you're stressed or relaxed, whether it's Monday or Saturday. Now, cortisol isn't a bad thing. It mobilizes energy. It sharpens your immune response. You can't live without it. But here's the part that changes everything. When cortisol stays elevated too long, it suppresses the mucus layer that lines your stomach wall. That mucus layer is the only thing standing between your stomach acid and the actual wall of your stomach. Your stomach acid sits at a pH between 1.5 and 3.5. Battery acid is pH 0. You do the math. That acid is supposed to be there. It kills pathogens, breaks down protein, absorbs minerals. But without that protective mucus lining, it starts working against you. And every morning before you've eaten a single thing, your cortisol is at its peak, and that lining is at its most vulnerable. Then you pour coffee on top of it. Caffeine directly stimulates cortisol release. Multiple studies have confirmed this. So when you drink coffee in that first 30 to 45 minutes, when your cortisol is already spiking, you're stacking a second cortisol hit on top of the first. Your protective stomach lining gets suppressed even further, and you're pouring an acidic liquid directly into a stomach with no food buffer, no protection, and acid at full concentration. Neuroscientist Andrew Huberman has pointed out that the ideal window for caffeine is 90 to 120 minutes after waking, specifically to avoid this mechanism. Even waiting 45 minutes makes a real difference, and having coffee with food instead of before it changes the entire interaction. Now let's talk about what's actually living inside you, because this is where it gets wild. Right now, you are carrying approximately 38 trillion microbial cells in your body. That number comes from a landmark 2016 study published in Cell by researchers at the Weizmann Institute of Science. By cell count, you are roughly half human and half microbial. These organisms are not passengers. They synthesize vitamins. They produce short-chain fatty acids that fuel the cells lining your colon. About 70% of your immune cells live in the gut. And these microorganisms produce somewhere between 90 and 95% of your body's total serotonin, not your brain, your gut. When people talk about mood, mental clarity, that inexplicable afternoon fog, the gut is in that conversation. It is not a separate conversation. After an 8-hour overnight fast, your gut microbiome has been running on reserves since dinner. The first meal you eat in the morning is the first feeding of this entire ecosystem, and what you give it determines whether those 38 trillion organisms thrive or slowly fall apart. They eat fermentable fiber, the kind your digestive enzymes can't break down, but your gut bacteria can ferment. Beta-glucan from whole oats, pectin from apples and pears, resistant starch from slightly underripe bananas and legumes. When that fiber reaches your large intestine, your bacteria ferment it and produce short-chain fatty acids, butyrate, propionate, and acetate that fuel your colon, regulate your blood sugar, and modulate your appetite. The whole cascade runs from a single breakfast choice. So what does the standard American breakfast actually do? Orange juice. A standard glass has 21 to 26 grams of sugar, same as a can of soda. Zero fiber, because the fiber was removed when the fruit was juiced. On an empty stomach, that sugar hits your bloodstream fast. Your pancreas surges insulin, blood glucose spikes, and then crashes. That mid-morning energy crash millions of people experience every day. That's not tiredness from bad sleep. That's reactive hypoglycemia from a sugar spike at 7:30 a.m. A whole orange has a glycemic index of 35 to 45. Orange juice sits at 50 to 65. The fiber is not incidental to the orange. The fiber is the point. Sweetened cereal is the same story. Most contain 10 to 25 grams of added sugar per cup, 1 to 3 grams of protein. Almost no prebiotic benefit because processing has already broken down the fiber structures your microbiome actually needs. You're spiking blood sugar, starving your muscles of amino acids at the exact window they're most ready to use them, and feeding pathogenic bacteria instead of the beneficial species that keep your gut running. Here's the part that ties everything together. Your body has a built-in circadian advantage that almost nobody is using. Every cell in your body contains a molecular clock, actual clock genes that regulate the timing of metabolic processes. This discovery earned the 2017 Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine. Your liver is most metabolically active in the morning. Your pancreas is most insulin sensitive in the morning. The same amount of carbohydrate eaten at 8 a.m. produces a smaller blood sugar spike than the same amount eaten at 8 p.m. That's been measured in controlled clinical settings at Harvard Medical School. A 2019 study published in Cell Metabolism from Sachin Panda's laboratory at the Salk Institute followed 19 adults with metabolic syndrome. They didn't change what they ate or how many calories they consumed. They only compressed their eating window to 10 hours, aligned with daytime. The result: measurable reductions in body weight, blood pressure, total cholesterol, LDL, and blood glucose. The mechanism is alignment. When you eat during the hours your metabolic machinery is at peak performance, the same food is handled more efficiently. And here's something most people have never heard: the second meal effect. First described by Dr. David Jenkins at the University of Toronto, the researcher who created the glycemic index. The fiber in your first meal actually changes how your body handles carbohydrates at lunch. Soluble fiber at breakfast slows gastric emptying and extends blood sugar stability into your next meal. Your breakfast is shaping your metabolic response at noon. So what should you actually do? First, water. 300 to 500 milliliters, warm or room temperature, before anything else. Not alkaline water, not detox water, just water. It dilutes the most concentrated surface layer of fasting acid. It stimulates fresh mucus production. It activates peristalsis, the muscle contractions that move material through your digestive tract, and it rehydrates your digestive tissue after 8 hours of no fluid intake. 3 minutes, do it first. Second, delay your coffee. At minimum 30 to 45 minutes, ideally 90. Even 45 minutes meaningfully reduces the cortisol stacking effect. And have your coffee with food, not before it. The presence of fat and protein buffers everything. Third, eat within 1 to 2 hours of waking. Your metabolic machinery is most ready in the morning. Waiting until noon means eating when insulin sensitivity is declining and digestive enzyme output is falling. When you eat, build the meal around 3 things. Prebiotic soluble fiber. The king of morning fiber is whole oats, not instant, not flavored packets, whole rolled or steel-cut oats. The beta-glucan fiber in oats has been studied more than almost any other dietary fiber. The FDA approved a heart health claim for it in 1997. Add chia seeds and flax seeds, and you're delivering a prebiotic substrate to your microbiome that sets up the butyrate-producing cascade for the entire day. Adequate protein, 25 to 40 grams. Your muscles are most receptive to amino acids in a fasted state, and research from Dr. Douglas Padden-Jones at the University of Texas shows that distributing protein across 3 meals, including breakfast, results in significantly greater 24-hour muscle protein synthesis than piling it all into one meal. Eggs are genuinely hard to beat here. 2 eggs give you 12 to 14 grams of complete protein, all 9 essential amino acids, choline for liver function, and leucine, the amino acid that directly triggers the muscle protein synthesis signaling pathway. Pair with Greek yogurt or cottage cheese, and you hit 25 grams easily. A fermented food. A 2021 clinical trial published in Cell from Stanford, researchers randomized 36 healthy adults to either a high-fiber diet or a high-fermented food diet for 10 weeks. The fermented food group, eating yogurt, kefir, kimchi, sauerkraut, kombucha, showed significant increases in microbiome diversity and decreases in 19 inflammatory proteins measured in the blood. Plain Greek yogurt is the most accessible version. Protein, probiotic cultures, and fermented substrate all in one. The sequence looks like this. Wake up before your phone, before the coffee maker, before any decision about the day. Drink water, 1 glass, maybe 2. Warm if you have it, 3 minutes. Wait 30 to 45 minutes before coffee. Use that time for morning light, a short walk, movement. Let your natural cortisol peak do its job without stacking caffeine on top of it. Eat within the first 1 to 2 hours. Whole oats with chia and flax. 2 or 3 eggs. A portion of plain Greek yogurt. Soluble fiber. Adequate protein. A fermented element. Minimal simple sugar. If you want coffee with breakfast, have it with the food, not before it on an empty stomach. That's it. Your gut has its own nervous system. 200 to 500 million neurons lining your gastrointestinal tract. Dr. Michael Gershon at Columbia University spent decades documenting this and literally wrote the book on it, called The Second Brain. Your gut has its own immune system. It produces 90% of your serotonin. It's carrying 38 trillion organisms that synthesize vitamins, regulate inflammation, and communicate directly with your brain via the vagus nerve. This is not a passive organ. This is a sophisticated, active, communicating system. And every single morning, in that first hour, you have a decision point that shows up 365 times a year. Measurable shifts in microbiome composition have been documented in as little as 3 to 4 days of consistent dietary change. Not weeks, not months, days. Your gut is not holding a grudge. It responds to what you give it now. 3 days, that's where this starts. Tomorrow morning when that alarm goes off at 6:47, before the phone, before the coffee, before any of it, remember there are 38 trillion organisms inside you that haven't eaten since dinner last night. Give them water first. Everything else follows from there.